Good morning, everyone. It's Laura from Art and Faith Creative, and today I wanted to do a little process video for you guys, but I wanted to explain a little bit first. So I've had a few of you ask me how I do my Art and Faith journaling. Some of the questions are about how I choose what to paint, how do I look at a scripture passage and then choose what verse to put in my Art and Faith journal, and then, how do I determine what I want to paint or what I want to draw. So I'm going to go through a little process video today of that and some ways that we can get inspiration from God's Word and just from nature and from our photos. So it's very simple. It's not rocket science, but I did want to give a few tips on how to have some supplies at hand so that it's easy to do this, and it doesn't require a lot of supplies. It's just whatever you have on hand. But I will share some of the things that I use and some of the ways that I go about doing my Art and Faith journaling, especially with this book of Proverbs that we've been going through all this month. So I'm going to switch the camera now and share some of those tips with you guys today. But before we do that, let's read Proverbs 18. Whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound judgment. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only as expressing his opinion. When wickedness comes, contempt comes also, and with dishonor comes disgrace. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is the bubbling brook. It is not good to be partial to the wicked or to deprive the righteous of justice. A fool's lips walk into a fight, and his mouth invites a beating. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are a snare to his soul. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body. Whoever is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous man runs into it and is safe. A rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his imagination. Before destruction, a man's heart is haughty, but humility comes before honor. If one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame. A man's spirit will endure sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? An intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before the great. The one who states his case first seems right until the other comes and examines him. The lot puts an end to quarrels and decides between powerful contenders. A brother offended is more unyielding than a strong city, and quarreling is like the bars of a castle. From the fruit of a man's mouth his stomach is satisfied. He is satisfied by the yield of his lips. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. The poor use entreaties, but the rich answer roughly. A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So I thought I would take a moment and go over what I've done so far in my Art and Faith journal for our month of Proverbs. And what I always start with is the Bible verse. So I will read the whole chapter, and then I will pick out some of the Bible verses that speak to me or just are something that I want to memorize or remember. So I will start with writing down the Bible verse, and then I will take some gouache or watercolor, and you could probably use markers as well, and just do a squiggly border around that. And then I also create some other boxes that I can create in as well. So there's a lot of times when if I don't know what I am going to do, if there's nothing in there that I think, oh, that makes sense to paint a tower or paint something that's related to the Bible verse, if I don't have anything that comes to mind, I will probably do flowers or trees. That's just something so easy to do. This next page is one of my all-time favorite verses. And it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. Now, I could have used the word path, and I did that a few pages later and created a beautiful outdoor scene with a path. But for some reason, I was thinking of being strong in the Lord, and those trees, the ficus trees or whatever you want to call those trees, cypress trees, they just reminded me of being strong by leaning on the Lord. And so that's just something that I did very quickly. Again, writing the Bible verse first, creating the border around it, and because I left some space on each side, it was easy for me to put tall trees on each side. And then that bottom area is where I journal just my heart and whatever comes to mind. So then I had been actually taking a summer online creative class. That was a free class called Summer Creative Retreat. And there was a lot of classes. I think it was like 60 some classes. So some of these you'll see I actually just painted in my art and faith journal when I was learning the classes. So this owl is from one of the teacher's classes, and I just decided to put the owl in there. Again, writing the Bible verse first. I didn't have enough space to kind of do a full border around the Bible verse. So I just did a border at the top and the bottom and then created the other blocks of space where I could journal and paint. Now this next one I absolutely love, and it is about a path because it's Proverbs 5:21 and it does talk about a path. So I decided to look for something on Pinterest. Actually, I found a photo or a painting that was this girl in a pathway. It's nothing like the one that I saw online. But again, this is my art and faith journal. This is not something that needs to be perfect. It doesn't need to be museum quality. I'm not even a fine artist. So this was just my interpretation of it. But I absolutely love how it turned out. And then sometimes when I don't have a ton of time, this next page, I did the Bible verse again, then I did those other blocks at the bottom, and I journaled in there. And then I just looked for something online that's maybe a floral design. And so I did go onto Pinterest again, and I found a black and white floral design. I just kind of went with something similar to it. I don't ever really copy it exactly, but it's just inspiration for you. So it's always a great place to look, and I'll show a little bit later on that. This next page is a lovely door that I just decided to paint. Again, kind of looking at the Bible verse, reading it again, seeing what speaks to me. And at the end it says, for by me your days will be multiplied and years will be added to your life. And it just brought me to the thought of home and living. And that's why the door is simple as that. Now, Proverbs 10 had so many verses about our words and our mouth and our lips and our tongue. And I just thought it would be so helpful to write all of those verses because it's so important for us to do just that, to watch what we say and what we're speaking. And so what I decided to do was just write down all the verses, and I didn't realize how many there were until I was done, and it pretty much filled up this whole page. So it was just very easy to just do a little border around the top and the bottom and do some little squiggly things at the top and the bottom as well. And then I just kind of highlighted each word that was related to our mouth. This is one of my favorite pages from this month. I love the vineyard, that painting that I was again inspired by Pinterest. I love the verse that talks about the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. So I definitely could have painted a tree instead of a vineyard, but my husband and I are headed to a vineyard here soon. And so I just looked on Pinterest again for pictures of vineyards and found something similar to this and decided to paint that. And then because there was some space on the side, I went ahead and painted a vine, just kind of with this verse and remembering in the New Testament where it talks about abiding on the vine and being connected to Christ. So that's the vine, the significance of the vine on the side. Again, I'm taking from the reference of the proverb where it says from the fruit of his mouth. And I was also learning to paint some fruit at that summer creative retreat. So I just decided to go ahead and paint the fruit in here as well. And again, writing the Bible verse first and then doing the rest after. This next page, I have to do 2 days on a spread because I'm running out of space in this journal. So you'll see Proverbs 13 and Proverbs 14 on both of these spreads. And so I was trying to combine them together. So the wisest of women builds her house. I decided to paint a house. And then on the other side, I really didn't know what to do. So I just kind of did a shrub and a flower. Now, sometimes I like to put a title at the top. So this one, I just put A Woman's Wisdom at Home. Again, if you want to put a title, you can also look in your Bible. Sometimes Bibles like mine have titles at the beginning of different sections. You could use a title like that. You could Google and ask Google, hey, what should I do for a title for Proverbs 14? And it might spit something out at you. that sounds good. So there's just so many different ways to get ideas and inspiration and, make it your own as well. Now, this page is a great example of when I don't have a lot of time. So I will just write the verse, put a border around it, and then I will do some wonky flowers. This is just a very easy page, probably took 5 to 10 minutes max. And so that's completely fine. I didn't have time to journal on this day. And, I just put a little blobs of green and some off-white, and then I squiggly lined flowers into it. And that is perfectly fine. Sometimes that's all that we have time for. For Proverbs 16, there were quite a few verses that stood out to me, and I wanted to write them down. I love them all, and I wanted to have them all in here. So that was the focus of this page. Obviously, with the honeycomb and the bees, I was inspired by the honeycomb, talking about in verse 24, gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. I love that. So what I did was I just Googled honeycomb, and I got some black and white images, and I just decided, okay, I can do these. And I just drew those and drew some little drips coming down and drew some little bees, and then I colored them in. So here we are at today's verse and tomorrow's, because I'm doing 2 on a spread now. And I'm looking at both of them. I am not good at drawing people. So Proverbs 17 verse about grandchildren, I love it, but I'm not going to draw kids. So then I'm looking at the next one, and it says that the name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the word tower comes to mind. So I go ahead and Google again pictures of towers. And because I love Italy so much, I decided to do a church tower. So now I think is a good time to show you some of my simple supplies that I use. And this is my gouache palette. It's super tiny. I absolutely love it. I take it with me everywhere. I'm just kind of comparing it here with my Neocolor tin, but it's so great. I love gouache, and I love teaching about gouache at our retreats. And then this is just a pencil that I use sometimes. So instead of using a regular pencil, I like to use one that is water soluble. And this is a light beige color, so it's easy to just sketch things out with it. And then when you're painting, it just disappears instead of seeing pencil behind your painting. Now this is my favorite pen to use. I've been using this for, goodness gracious, probably a dozen years or more. I love it just for journaling. I love the Ultra Micro, and it's a Uniball Signo pen. It is not 100% waterproof, but I love that it writes so nicely in my journal. I also use it to go over my paintings and give it some dimension. And then I usually bring with me water brushes. If I'm at home, I'll use regular brushes, paint brushes, and water in a cup. But a lot of times I'm out and about doing this, so I love the water brushes. And then here's a nice brush that I like to use for leaves. But I don't really have a ton of supplies that I use for this. It's really just the simple things that we have already. I wanted to quickly show you my Pinterest. I have several boards on my Pinterest, and I absolutely love pinning things and finding things that I think, oh, this is such inspiration. Now, again, we don't copy things, we don't do things exactly, but it is just something that gives us a prompt, an idea. But it is just inspiration for us. And so I have created a board called Creative Ideas I'd Like to Try. And so when I see something that is inspiring, I just put it in that board. And then when I'm thinking about what I want to paint, and I need an image of something like tile, a boat, anything like that, then I just go back to this board and it helps me to look and get ideas. So again, I was in Spain this summer, so a lot of the Spanish looking tiles were in here. Some of the images in Barcelona I thought were really cool. So I just put them in here, and I think it's helpful because sometimes we know we just don't instantly have an idea in our head of what to paint. So Pinterest is a great place to check out. So I'm going to walk you through this page today as I sketch it out, and then I'm going to use my gouache and get a little spray bottle to get all the gouache wet. And then I'm just really doing a very, very simple and quick painting. This is nothing that is museum quality, like I said before. It's just going to be a representation of a tower, and the tower is a church tower. So I'm just putting in the colors. I usually like to go in with a couple different tones, a mid-tone, a dark tone, starting off with that light tone, and then adding some shadows. I also use colored pencils. I use my favorite pen to just add some detail in. And then I'm going to end with journaling a little bit about the verses. And here's the final page. I hope this was helpful for you guys today. For those that had some questions about my process, I hope it is inspiring and it blesses you as well. I will see you tomorrow.